Hey guys, how's it going today? It is me, Captain Energy, and today we're going to talk about mobile music creation. Now, I was asked by one of my subscribers why they need to carry around an iPad. Well, reality is you don't need to carry around an iPad. They don't like the iPad, it sounds like, for making music, and that's all right. There are other mobile devices that you can use to create music with. You could use an Android device, you could try a Chromebook. There are applications that are cross-platform, basically like Cubasis 3.4 works on all three of those platforms. Then there are individual applications on iOS, for example. There's Gadget. Um, I'm not sure what there is for Android or Chrome. I did try and look a little bit, but all I could find was most of the ones that went across platforms. Like there's also a Fruity Loops, or FL Studio rather, for all of those platforms. And I've used it on the Android, and it's not bad. It's a little laggy. The sound is a little bit laggy, but it's not a terrible way to make music. Whereas my favorite is going to be iOS because one, it's not just because I have it. It is actually technically just the best. It has the least lag, has the highest number of supporting developers. It's got Apple behind it, basically making sure that the hardware and software are cohesive, where Android is kind of a split platform where it's guidelines are put out and people do what they want with it. And even Chromebooks, that's a situation where they're not all made by Google. They're made by Dell and this company and that company, and you're never going to have, unless somebody takes hold of the whole thing, like right here, the iOS platform. Unless somebody takes care of the software and the hardware, the core parts of both, you're never going to have that cohesiveness. That's why I use iOS. Now, you could go with a PC or you could go with a Mac and get the same type of things out of those. If you want to make music on the road, buy a notebook computer and you're good to go. But if you don't want to use any of those things, you can still make music on the road with a device like the Circuit Rhythm here. Okay, the Circuit Rhythm shares a lot of things with the tracker world, if you would. You've got 8 tracks, okay, of music making sounds. They can be monophonic, so each one could be an individual instrument, or they can also trigger individual samples. And I believe you can load 128 different samples on here at a time, which is a lot of samples. But those samples can be either a phrase, they could be a chord, or they could be an individual sound or a hit. And what I mean by that, if they were an individual sound, they would sound like just one note. Okay? They could be a chord and be like one chord. And you could put one of those per pad, and then just be able to use that to play chords instead of reaching and having, for example, that's a C. That C takes 3 notes. So I could either play it on 1, 2, 3 notes and have 3 rows gone to play it, or I could take that, sample this, and put it on 1. Makes sense to do it that way, right? Just put it on 1. And then you have phrases where I could take this and I could go, and that could be one sample. The limitations are time that you can record samples for. Each pack has a limited number of samples, or limited time per sample. I believe it's like 22 seconds per sample, something like that. But that's a lot of time, really, when you think about it. It's not a lot of time when you're thinking about it from one perspective, but the other side, it's a lot of time. But a unit like this will cost you $400. And with something like this, if you got a PC around and you can get yourself a copy of Audacity, Audacity is a digital audio editor that's 100% free. It'll work on anything down to like probably 10-year-old, maybe 20-year-old computer. You could run it on a very old machine. And then you just cut up some samples and load them over here to your Circuit Rhythm, and you're good to go. For example, you don't even need to load them to it with the machine. You can do it manually like this. If I go... Okay, this is that chord I was just doing a minute ago. That's that. In a nutshell, I have been busy editing samples and loading more up on the circuit rhythm. Now, if you look here, you'll notice that there are 8 white squares now. That means each of these has a sample in it. So I've got 4 chords. I've got a hi-hat, got a kick drum, got a piano, and I've got a bass. So now I took these sounds and I made a couple patterns. I'm going to let you hear those patterns right now. And basically, though, this is the kind of thing that you could do with just a circuit rhythm and some sounds. And the sounds don't, like I said, can come from anywhere. CDs, tapes, records, you name it. Back in the day when I was a DJ, I used to have my turntables right next to my sampler, or to my PC, actually, I guess, because I was using that as a sampler. And I would literally be queuing up a sample and then hitting record and letting it go, and then pausing the record again, and then editing the sample one by one. It was a little tedious, but that's all right. That was the way back in the day, Ooh, and that rhymed. Nice. All right, so let's take a look at these patterns real quick. I'm going to hit sample here so you can see. Now you can see the different patterns we have set up. Pattern 1, I've got a kick and I've got snare. Now this, like I said, because we're doing the sample, because we're using this as a sample and not playing the notes, and you can place the kick. You can see the red lights now are the kick. If I hold this down, it'll tell me which ones are hi-hats. And that's basically, if you just go to mute all the other patterns so you can hear this. Nothing special, just for fun, Jump over here to the third here. Now, reactivate that pattern. That sound is actually the kick drum. I was just messing around with it, and I kind of gave it some pitch. And you can see over here, it's just kind of hitting at the same place as the hi-hats are. And I did a little bit of tweaking here to give it a little sound other than just a kick. I also used some effects on it. Go here. There we go. And now we have a little something going on with the kick drum and that. Okay, let's jump over here to, I'm going to go to the 4th pattern. I'm skipping the 2nd pattern intentionally because that one's kind of different. That's the piano. Tweaking there. Bring that back in. patterns. We'll activate the fifth pattern. Which is actually a bass. You can hear that. This is the sixth pattern. Actually, sorry. There is no sixth pattern. I meant to go back to the second pattern, so now we're going to jump back to that. Right? Here we go. Pattern 2. Those have nothing to distract them. Alright, here we go. So that's just a little teeny sample of what you can do with just one instrument. I mean, and that's a $400 piece of hardware. That's brand new, $400. I've seen these as low as $250 on eBay. Personally, I think it's a great move if you're looking to go dawless. Also, other thing about this instrument that is not mentioned that I know of anywhere is that channel 1 through 8, see these you can't really, probably can't see the numbers, but this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Each of these actually represents a MIDI channel. If you take a MIDI cable, which you can, because on the back of this there's MIDI in, out, and through. All right, let's see if we can get that over here so you can see it. There we go. Okay, in, out, and through right here. If you hook this up to a synth of your liking, whatever you choose, you can actually push channels 1 through 8 to a synthesizer. They will be monophonic, but you can still push notes to an outside synthesizer. So if you had, for example, like a 303 or an Odyssey, whatever, monophonic type synth, you could push notes there. Also, for fun, you could use the sync here. So if you took this and connected it to, say, a IK Uno Synth Pro and hooked the sync up, you could actually trigger patterns that were on your IK Uno Synth Pro to start playing while you were playing here. You could send notes. It could grab the clock off of it, whatever. There's a whole bunch of ways to use this thing that make it worth the money. And honestly, this unit here and its counterpart, the circuit tracks, I keep saying circuit rhythm tracks, but the circuit tracks and the circuit rhythm together, they're quite the combo, and they could stand in for a lot of different gear that you have or might not have, and give you a lot of capability for not a lot of money. So if you want to go mobile, this is one option. I'm going to actually do other videos to show you more ways to go mobile, dawless, if you will, and to do it without an iPad even, if you want, because it seems like that's a thing where people are trying to do. And one of them is the videos is going to be, more than likely, me using my iPhone to show you that you can actually make a track using just your iPhone and nothing else. It may not be an awesome track. We'll see what happens, but it will be a track nonetheless, and it will be a little lesson in don't underestimate your iPhone, because just an iPhone is enough to produce a song on. It's kind of crazy that technology has gotten there. Anyway, thank you so much for hanging out with me. I appreciate you. I just hope that you are appreciating the video. And if you are appreciating the video, please click the like button. Don't forget to leave me a comment and subscribe so you get notifications for future videos. All right. So I'll see you guys in the next one. Have a great day.